to the world out there. I am Jessica Koch, and this is Profound Professionals. We have been doing this show, gosh, I think almost 5 years now, and we get the honor of featuring amazing industry leaders, sharing a little bit of their story and some great education or nugget or tidbit or something wonderful that you can apply to your life. And better than that, we also have the opportunity of not just featuring ourselves, because we are pretty great, and edifying each other, but we also get to spread awareness about amazing causes that are out there in the world. I think it's fun. I think it's inspiring and exciting because there are just so many great ones. And so why not take the chance to have, a quadruple, triple, dipple, 5 million wins at once versus just one or two great wins, right? And today with us at Profound Professionals, we have Sherri Leopold and Jessica Tarini. I get it right? Yes.
Got it.
Yay me. All right. So we are going to start, and we are going to let Jessica share a little bit about herself with us. But I want to say that she is the owner of JK organizing homes and lives as a professional organizer and coach. And let me just tell you, as the Italian mother of 7, organization is the bomb.com, because when you can know where things are, you can actually achieve so much more and still keep your cool and your head on straight, right?
That's right.
So Jessica, tell us how you ventured into the world of organizing not just our homes and our spaces, but our lives, and really supporting that professional person and stepping into this space.
Absolutely. So it's something I've always loved to do ever since I was little. So I've always helped friends and families organize different spaces in their homes. So I finally established my business in February of 2020. And while working with clients, I realized that it oftentimes wasn't just always the physical space that we need to work on, but some internal work. So I went through the Health Coach Institute and certified as a life and health coach, as well as a transformational coach. So we can dive deeper into what's going on internally to explain what's going on externally in our world. So I approach my clients in their homes, helping them organize different spaces. We go through sorting, purging, organizing, and then ultimately laying out the spaces. Sometimes repurposing what they have, sometimes bringing in new items to give them a look that works for them and that's effective and efficient for them and their families. The coaching piece comes in either in a one-to-one setting or a group setting of 4 people, and we meet together once a week via Zoom over a 90-day program called Organizing Homes and Organizing Your Home. 90-day coaching program. And we get together once a week via Zoom, like I said, and we work on that internal work. We start with the goal setting. And then by the end, the last couple of sessions, we're working on, okay, how do we get our space organized? And we kind of stretch out what is it to sort and to purge, to organize, and then lay out your space. And you can carry those tools and resources into the other spaces in their homes and take on all by themselves.
And that emotional piece is more important than you think, because all the work that I've ever done to try to get things done, and I've hired, professional organizers, I've hired cleaners, I've hired college students, I've hired all kinds of people to try to get my world under control. But what I found in my own journey of reading the great books, and I don't remember the amazing one where you're supposed to touch everything and find out if it loves you. I mean, I've watched all of what's the people who do the rainbow stuff, the show.
Yeah, the home edit.
Everything is, I've watched, remember when their show was Clean House and all of those different shows where they transform everything, they take everything out, they sort it. But what I found was in reading some of those books and getting in touch with some of why can't I let go of this? I found it was 2 things. One was because I had some challenges in my childhood. Emotionally, I felt really connected to some things, and it filled, I guess, a feeling of love or fear. Because even someone's like, oh, well, just take a picture of it. it wasn't enough for me, because for me, like my grandmother's sweatshirt, even though I've washed it 100 times and whatever, I have this sweatshirt. It's lavender and painted with irises, and her backyard was all irises, and it's just how soft it is. And even though it's the smell of my, I still feel like in my brain I can smell her, even though I've worn it and washed it with my own detergent. I know that doesn't make logical sense, but I think the sentimental stuff is so tough for me to let go of. And then the second part of the problem is, and so maybe you can address this as some sort of tip that you can help someone practically use, is the second part was there were times when I was a child where we didn't have a lot. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like, plenty of people have way, I was blessed, okay, beyond. But I remember thinking, I need to save these, construction paper scraps, and I need to save that because I can use them for something, for arts and craft, or we need to save these toilet paper rolls because the class is going to need them to make them. And, we just kept saving things because we might need it. And we might not have the means to just go out and get whatever it was, right? When we did need it. So saving things was a thing that I grew up with. So you didn't waste stuff. And if you could have used it in some capacity, and when you have 7 kids, crafts are always a factor. How you could use it. I mean, it's sewing. I sew, and my grandmother sewed, and my mother sewed, and we save the scraps of everything, because you can make a patchwork skirt. You can make a patchwork quilt. You can make, I mean, these scraps are going somewhere. Okay. Yeah. And we slept with them and they kept us warm. So how do you deal with, I mean, I don't have that problem anymore because I have a lot more abundance in my life, mentally and actually. That's a nice thing. So now I'm like, donate it, give it away, get rid of it. So I'm much better there. But the sentimental stuff is still super hard for me. But that's a real thing where people, have had different, money comes and goes. People have, I mean, even millionaires have tons of money, and then you hear stories of then they're dead broke and they're 100 million in debt, and then all of a sudden they have billions again. Like, money goes like a yo-yo for the best and the worst of us. So how do you deal with some of that?
So I definitely hold a special place for the sentimental items, because like you said, there's some things that really, it's the touch, it's the smell, it's sensory for us, so it has meaning to us. So that doesn't necessarily mean we want to keep everything, but there's definitely a special place for certain items. So respecting that space. And if a client's ever stuck with a particular item, we just kind of pause and we reflect on that item. And if it's something that we're not ready to approach, then we just put that aside and we come back to that. So that way we can kind of keep the motivation and keep trucking along on the project that we're working on.
Yeah, because those decisions can be exhausting. You can feel like whipped at the end of that.
Right. It can be very draining, especially mentally. Even myself. I mean, I have some clients, I typically work in 3-hour sessions, but sometimes my clients and I work together for 6 hours. That's a lot. So
a lot of decisions. All right. So putting it to the side is one thing. What about the what if I might need it syndrome?
The what if I might need it syndrome. Again,
it's a thing. That's a real thing.
Definitely a thing. Yeah. Everybody's in different spaces with that. What's interesting is I haven't had a lot of clients that are like, oh, but I might need that. I honestly, it comes back to that. Okay, let's take a minute and pause, because as we're going through things, we might come across a second or a third or a fourth of that item. And then you can kind of bring it all together, and then you start to recognize and have that awareness of, okay, maybe I don't need 4 or 5 of these. I had a client and she had like 4 pairs of the same shoes, and she only wore the 1 pair of shoes. I'm like, okay, so maybe we could potentially downsize to at least 2 pairs. So you have 1 new that you could switch into, because we don't need 4 pairs, especially if they're still in the bags, in the boxes, and just kind of hidden away collecting dust. So just gently approaching a client and meeting them where they're at. So if they're in a space where they're like, okay, let's do it, let's get rid of it, great. And if they're not, respect that and give them the space for that to kind of go through and process.
I love that. And let me just tell you, honey, you don't need it. You're not going to need it. You're not going to use it, because even if it's a brand new pair of shoes that this is the only shoe you ever want, here's what I found. This happened to me because I'm that girl that has that shoe in the back of the closet, new in the box. I brought it out to use it. And do you know, they don't make things the way they used to. And the glue at the bottom came right off that puppy. It was brand new. It's because it sat in the closet so long. So get rid of it. Donate it. Somebody else's feet can wear it now. You'll find something else fabulous and even 100 times better for later on. That's what I say about that.
There you go. They can level up. It's time to level up.
Level up already. Let's get it out. Let's get it used by someone else. Let's get moving.
Right.
Jessica, is there anything else you want to share about your business before you talk to us about the cause you love and care about?
I think that's it. I touched on everything. So like I said, I do mostly residential organizing. I'm located in Severn, Maryland. So I work in Anne Arundel County and about an hour going out all around.
But the emotional piece you can do with the group and the Zoom for anywhere in the world, right?
Exactly.
And there's definitely things you can do to touch the world. So don't forget about that.
Yep. That's exactly what I was going to go into. You beat me to the chase. So,
That's right.
so I can really help anybody anywhere virtually.
Good.
Now, in a virtual space, it takes a certain kind of client. So it's got to have a client that's just needs kind of that verbal guidance and can follow a plan. Not someone that's like, well, I really need that person next to me kind of guiding me through that process and physically helping me with that. So someone that can take charge and they're ready to do it.
A great solution for that is have a local college student or high school student of one of their friends come and plan and book a day, work with you virtually, give you the checklist, and have that other person be that accountability, that hands, that extra worker bee to sort through things and follow the guidelines with you. And then they'll have that best of both worlds. They'll have that in-person person helping them get it done, motivating them. They have to be ready because they're knocking on the door at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to start going through the back room. Yes, the back room is actually a room, not a storage facility, right? So I think that would be a great approach for those clients who need the best of both worlds, that hand holding. Maybe it's not you, but it's your guidance, it's your guideline, it's your checklist, it's your sorting process. And that college student or high school student can help support that wonderful, amazing person along so that they can have success in their journey.
Absolutely. And I love that you brought up the accountability too. And that's what I love about the group coaching, because everybody's together and they're in it and they're doing it. And I also create organizing plans for my clients. So it's a Google Doc it tracks, what are the to-dos? What are the to-buys? What are, what are the quick notes? Who am I referring you to? If they need additional support in any space that I cannot support.
And for a little bit of money that'll help buy the kids some college books or whatever, or some fun money for some clothes. That's great for it's another opportunity for multiple wins. I'm all about it. All the wins, all the ways. All right. Tell us about your charity, Jessica, because everybody is on the edge of the seat. Can't wait to hear about our other wonderful guest.
Absolutely.
Teeming with beauty with us here.
Yes. So I'm the volunteer coordinator for Life of Joy Foundation, and it's Joy Cortina is the founder, and her foundation focuses on a holistic approach to mental health awareness and suicide prevention. So providing sources here in Anne Arundel County. Eventually we'll expand and have resources to where we can really get people directed to where they need help.
Yeah, and I'm sure that we will have all of that information in the article and in below and these lives in the chats, in the comments. But just know that if you're not local, I bet if you reached out to them, if you needed something, you didn't know where else to go, they could direct you in a place that could help you wherever you are, because support is a thing. We're created to need each other. So don't go anywhere, because we're going to come back to you with some other things. But I want to introduce the beautiful, the amazing, the brilliant, the radiant Sherri Leopold, helping women stand up and stand out. And it's not just with red lipstick ladies, as the unbeatable miracle they are, and helping them spread their message farther and faster. So she wants you to get the word out there. Don't just beat around the bush. Don't whisper. Don't be this tiny little glowing light under a basket. We want to be a bonfire for the globe. And how are you going to do that? You're going to talk to Sherri Leopold. That's how. All right, Sherri, tell us all about you.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for having me. My gosh, what an intro. I am the CEO of Option Creators. I believe that life is all about options, and the more you have, the better you are. So one of the things that I believe in terms of options is having choices. Choices create change. When you change your choices change. So one of those choices that I encourage you to make is to fall madly deeply in love with yourself, because you can only be loved to the degree to which you love yourself. So self-love is the best love. And when you love you, other people can love you. So
I know now why I'm so lovable, because I totally love myself.
100%. And I will honestly tell you, that's one of the first things I learned about you when I met you. I don't even know how long ago it was, 2 years ago, was I loved that you were secure in your self-love. 100%. Check mark.
I totally love me. I love me. I love my life. I am madly, deeply in love with my, I mean, life is good. What's not to love?
Right, exactly. And I think that the other thing in that same space, she's
I'm loving a girl right now, by the way.
So your internet's glitching. It's fine. Okay.
That's
sorry.
Great.
I don't want to talk over you. I truly feel that, and this leads into really what I'm very passionate about is my Wow Warrior platform. And I love to help women stand up and stand out as that unrepeatable miracle that they are. So that when you walk in that room as a woman, or any room, the only thing that can be said about you is, wow, she's awesome. Yes. And the thing is, the only way you can ever walk into that room and say, wow, she's awesome, is to walk in and say, wow, I'm awesome. That's exactly why I just pointed to the fact that I love that about you, Jessica, because you exude that self-worth. And wow stands for woman of worth, warrior. So that's what the Wow Warrior platform is. It is literally raising your hand saying, I am a woman of worth. I am unique. I am 100% me and okay exactly as I am. No qualifiers. I get to show up and be me, and it's a beautiful thing.
I love that. I love that. I think that that is so important. So in the space of two things, how is the best way for people to work with you if they're going to work with you one-on-one, or in a group setting, or online courses or webinars, or all those things? And then secondly, how can they take something you can give them today to apply it? So let's cover those two things.
Sure. So with the Wow platform, there's actually 3 parts to it. One of them, it involves with, like I said, giving yourself the Wow Warrior Award. So you choose to acknowledge yourself as that Wow Warrior. That is in conjunction with Women's History Month. It is expressly there to have a woman who is writing her own history, who is leaving and intentionally writing her own legacy. She's living her legacy, raising her hand, understanding I have the responsibility. I am here to stand in my own worth and inspire and impact other women to know they can do the same. And in that same vein, like, I'm not sure how, we haven't really talked about this, but I'm actually launching a magazine that the first issue comes out in Women's History Month in 2023 in March. And I will have people, powerful women, and I do have some men writing actually that are empowering women. They'll be writing articles. Some of them will be interviewed inside that magazine. So there's lots of ways to be involved in the magazine. And I explained it to somebody earlier as, I keep hearing the phrase, a rising tide, or a rising tide lifts all boats, right? But my thing is, I am partnering with those writers and those people who are profiling. We are the tide. We're going to lift lots of boats because I'm locking arms with people who the whole magazine itself has an energy to it to lift and empower women to stand up and stand out. That's the entire premise of the magazine. And then I also have my Wow Warrior television show, which I'm going to I actually have my own channel. So I'm going to be having other people who have their shows on the Wow Warrior channel. And I'm also going to be interviewing very powerful women or people who empower women on that. So I'm very excited about that. That's going to be on everydaywoman.tv.com. That will be starting in January. So that's the next thing kicking off. So the whole platform is, all I want you to do is just go, wow. I can't wait. Wow. Pick me. I choose me. Anyway, so that's really something I'm just so excited to share. So literally it's all about you. That's what it is. I always say this platform is my legacy. I want to help you go farther, faster. I can do it by giving you exposure, by showing the amazing impact you're having in the world, like this presentation is exactly that. Highlighting people, helping them get seen and heard. That's what I love doing. I am the quintessential cheerleader. And that's the most important thing to me. What was the second thing you asked me? Sorry, I get excited.
So, really, it seems like this is for women who've like already raised their hand to say this, and you're just helping get the word out even further. So what I was imagining, it was for the woman who wasn't quite there yet, and you were helping them journey into the space of being the wow person.
Not really. The award itself, no. The ones who are writing for that maybe have a strength within their lane of genius or zone of genius, but they will be buoyed by the other people, right, in the magazine, because it is a community. The Wow Warrior is a community. And you will meet amazing people just by being part of it. I have a free community on Facebook. I am a woman of worth. So it's you can find it on there, and we'll provide the links and stuff.
Yeah.
That's specifically for women. If you want to be the one, if you're a man, you want to be in it, you can be in my Wow Warriors. I actually have two. There's a reason why I have two, and one is specifically geared towards women. But you know, we have to be that light to the next woman who has it. We all have it. We all have everything we need. Some of us just get in our own way. I pulled somebody out of the stuck morass earlier who is just, I believe she's like a genius. And she was just trying to talk her out of doing something that was really prestigious and amazing. And she was like, I was thinking I was going to call him and tell him I was going to do it. And I was like, all I could think of was, oh my gosh, but here's the thing. This is what happens when you surround yourself with people like you. Somebody that we have a mutual friend said, you need to book an appointment with Sherri. We got on the phone in 15 minutes. She said, oh my God, I'm unstuck. I'm doing it. I was like, you're welcome. This is so great. This is what I do.
Exactly. And sometimes unstuck is by example. I was in a Zoom room and we were talking about something, and we were just having like kind of a collaboration call. It wasn't really a networky thing. It wasn't somebody's event. We just, a room of us just happened to, I don't know how it happened, but there was a room of us. And we started talking about something, and I said, well, I don't know, let's call and find out. I pick up my phone, and while I'm on Zoom with all these people, I make the phone call to the office of a CFO of an organization and ask all the questions. And they're like, how did you do that? And I'm like, well, there's little buttons on your phone and they dial, like nobody does that anymore. What's it going to hurt? What is he going to do? Bite me through the phone? I'm going to call him, I'm going to ask him to see if I can reach him. I'm going to see if I get the warrior receptionist who blocks me. I don't care what happens. I'm just going to see what happens. And, I think that inspired a lot of people on the call to stop being afraid of what could happen and just do some stuff,
And that's just the thing. I think the more, and this is why I talked about the self-love, the more you love yourself, the less you worry about getting the validation from anyone. And that's actually sort of a marker of a true woman of worth, a pillar woman of worth, because you actually don't measure yourself by how somebody else says you are. You're freaking awesome. everywhere you go, any minute of any day. Do you have some days that aren't as great? Yes, but you're never question your worth. You know you're worthy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I learned a lot and grew a lot because I got to be, I think, gosh, now it's 23, 20, going on 24 years of really healthy love. I've been in a really healthy, loving relationship, and it healed a lot of things for me. And I learned a lot of things from how he treated me and realized, and really learned how to love myself truly. I think that that kind of security and safety and to feel safe enough to to figure out who yourself is in order to be yourself. Like everyone's like, oh, be yourself.
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
Yeah, and you know what? I think it's a misnomer when people say just be yourself, because some people don't know what that is exactly.
No, exactly.
And that is a class that I have taught, a 3-part webinar called Who Am I? It's a very deep dive into who am I? How am I perceived by my network? And do those two things match? And whether they do or not, how do I proceed forward with who I know that I am and I want to be and how I want to show up in the world? So it was a very powerful webinar for the people in it. And it was interesting to see their growth and to see their surprise at how they thought of themselves and how other people perceive them differently. We always, and each person in there perceived themselves less than what other people saw them as. It was quite illuminating for them.
That is
and I'm like,
fascinating.
you need to own your genius. That's what that story is about, right? You need to own how incredible you are. Unrepeatable miracle, one DNA, yours in 8 billion people. You could have had a trillion different combinations with that egg and sperm, and that one came out and it's just you. There's not a single other person like you. If that's not a miracle, I don't know what is.
I totally agree. And the interesting thing is, people will think more of you than you think of yourselves in a lot of cases, but they'll also agree with you if you think too little of yourself. The world will show up and agree with you. And I learned this as a sales technique, where I met and spoke and stood in front of a boardroom table. And we're not talking little mini boardroom tables. We're talking the real deal. And I was at Staples headquarters with the CFO and his entire team. I was at New Balance with the CFO and their entire team. I got a pair of tennis shoes from them too. They gave me shoes. But I went to speak and I did this meditation and this imagination, and I saw in my mind the movie of how this was going to go. And when I walked in, and this is back in the day, by the way, back in the day when women didn't walk into a men's CFO boardroom and say anything other than, would you like some coffee, sir? You know, they didn't do anything but that. And I walked into the front of that room and said, here is the plan, and I'm talking about their finances and cost reduction. That was my topic. I mean, and I don't have a degree in finance or a degree in anything. I have a little bit of college, and I'm really damn smart and really self-taught. But I was able to go in there with my mind of what they were going to think of me, and I actually overheard one of the guys, as I was, she really had a lot of confidence. And I think this is something we should take some serious look at. In my mind, one of the sentences I wanted to expel was, I'm going to have a lot of confidence and they're going to take this plan seriously and really consider it. And out of his mouth that came. And you can't make that kind of crap up, you know? I mean, so truly it is when you think and you imagine and you do that meditation. And I mean, I prayed my ass off too. I prayed like crazy because I wanted that deal. But you know, when you do that kind of thing, it's really fantastic. So,
and you prepared like a woman of worth would.
Years ago, by the way, back in the day, way back in the day. So yes, and I had a lot of support, and I worked for a good company, and it was a really good experience, and the people there were fantastic. So,
and you were prepared. That was the thing. You were prepared. and you were prepared for the outcome that you were looking for. You went there looking, knowing what the outcome was going to be.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay. So anything that you can suggest they do to lift their confidence if they're feeling a little low?
Yes, I would say that you go look in the mirror and say everything you can to that person in the mirror, starting with, I love you. You're freaking amazing. I love your hair. I love your eyes, whatever it is, everything about you that makes you you, until you literally cannot think of another thing. You are talking to yourself. Your voice is the loudest voice you'll ever hear, the one that's in your head. I call her inner voice Ivy. Sometimes she's a little witch. You know what? It's still your voice. That's the nugget. The voice in your head is your voice. Even if it's repeating what somebody else said, it's your voice because you're repeating what they said. That goes to my self-bullying stuff. But somebody else can say it to you, but the moment you start saying it to yourself, it's your fault.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's awesome. Okay, how about your cause? Would you like to tell us about the cause that you love and care about?
I would love to. Now, I'm not probably going to be as eloquent, but my fabulous cause is called the Forever Home Feline Ranch, and it is a not-for-profit, is a no-kill shelter for felines in Central Illinois. It's just right outside of Springfield, Illinois, where I'm from, in Rochester. It is literally like a cat ranch. There are about, I don't know how many are there right at this precise moment. We've had upwards of 100 cats that they are allowed to live there and live out their life and not be euthanized. I'm trying to think what the last number was, like 10,000 cats that have been adopted, I think in 10 years. They just had their 10-year anniversary. I volunteered for that since the day it opened. I've been the board president in there. I have always supported the organization. It is 100% volunteer run and donation run. There is no funding from anything but people. And so when you get into hard times like this, it's very difficult, and vet costs are very high for older cats. So, anything helps. FelineRanch.org. You can check out the website for that. If you want to foster, there's so many different things you can do. We've taken transports from Florida where the kill shelters are very high and transported them with 5 different people, meeting random people, picking up cages to actually save the cats. We have one vet that flies in her personal plane. She flies cats up and they're placed and she brings them vaccinated and everything, and we adopt them out. So, it's a really great organization.
Plane. We're the wrong business, Sherri. The vet's got the personal plane.
Yep, she does.
That's a lot of cat litter is all I have to say. That's a lot of fuzzy mice, because there's no real mice for 100 miles around that ranch.
But it's super fun because we have people that volunteer at the site, like Girl Scout troops and we have lots of adults that can't have cats. Some of them, their spouses are allergic or something. They'll come out and they'll clean, the cat pans, but they'll just come out and socialize with the cats. They literally come to the ranch to pet cats because they can't have a cat at home and they love cats. So, and we have some feline leukemia cats, and we just let them live out their life naturally. We don't just put them down. FIV. So it's just a great organization that really does. It's a small piece of the problem. We do a spay and neuter clinic every spring, so we can try to reduce the number that end up killed, because dogs live an average of 7 days in a shelter. Cats live less than 48 hours.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, the numbers are bad. And
so
cats
are the perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
And cats are the perfect example for your business, because what better example of someone who totally loves himself and has no care what the rest of the world thinks of him than a cat. They have no care what you think of them, and they think they are beautiful and fabulous.
That's exactly
and
correct. I never thought of that before, but you know what? And I also didn't care at one point when I did have 7 cats, what anybody said. I had some people look down their nose at me. I'm like, I'm gonna do what I want.
That's right.
Because I don't care.
Cats are
You need to have to take care of them, then you can worry about it. But if you don't, then don't. You want to come to my house? Don't. I'm like, that's just how I am.
Okay, before we get totally nuts, so we are going to wrap up with having Jessica and Sherri share 2 final things with us. Jessica's going to share with us an amazing book that inspired her or that she loves and just thinks the world should know about. And then she's also going to give us a one last kind and loving thought or word to leave with us before we say goodbye. So go ahead, Jessica.
Oh, thank you. So I'm actually going to share a new book I just started reading, but I'm really, really loving it because it dives in kind of to like, what is our story? So it's by Joanna Gaines, and it's called The Stories We Tell. So it kind of goes back over her timeline and what she's learned and kind of like rewriting stories from ourself, from our point of view. So it's just really touching. So I'm really enjoying that. I'm probably about halfway through on that. But I love any kind of self-development books. And I'm actually listening to one on Audible as well. And that one is called The Untethered Soul. So that is what I'm listening to right now.
Deep.
So I like the physical touch book, and then I like to listen to a book sometimes. And then the last thing I'll leave off with is I'll do my quick end of the day here. So, when I wrap up my day, I have a clear desk. So typically I have a clear desk anyway, because I'm organized and I like to have stuff on my desk, but this goes for everybody. So I know a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to this and like the chaos of like what we go through in a day and just everything kind of spills over onto our desks. So I would recommend setting a timer for 5 minutes and even kind of start settling down and kind of as you're coming to a close of your workday, but you're not like ready to book it out the door. Just taking 5 minutes set aside, home office or even in your physical office space, and just get everything back in its place. Put the office supplies with the office supplies, put your documents that you might need to work on, kind of tidy those up and put them off to the side. If you have time to file them away, get the water bottles off the counter. And it's just nice to come back to a fresh, clean slate first thing in the morning. So get you in the right mindset.
I would need a fairy godmother and a magic wand to achieve that, but I love that idea, Jessica. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Then I'm very fascinated about the books too, and we'll try to get those names and authors from Jessica and include them in the article and in some of the other details so that you'll have that for later. All right, Sherri, what do you got for us? Some good books? What you got going on?
So I'm actually going to plug my own book because it is what my foray into self-love, and it's called Self-Bullying: What to Do When the Bully Is You. And it is where the wow came from, because when people heard the title Self-Bullying: What to Do When the Bully Is You, they went, wow. And that has been an integral part since I wrote it 4 years ago, part of everything I've done in that wow. It means war on words, warrior. So that's my wow warrior tribe. And you know what you say to yourself, and I alluded to it earlier, touched on it earlier, what you say to yourself is the most important thing you'll ever hear. This is why one of my favorite hashtags is make good choices, because it's a choice. What you let run in here, it comes out here and it affects everybody around you. You've got to make a good choice. Make a good choice what you let loose in here and let run on repeat and replay, because it will permeate the rest of your life. Say, I love me. I love me. I'm awesome. I'm awesome. Even if you don't feel it, say it, say it, say it, absorb it, because you are enough and you are that unrepeatable miracle. You are a snowflake. I remind you, there is literally no one like you on the planet. Nobody can be you. And that is what is awesome about you.
I love that. That is a great way to wrap us up today. So I am Jessica Koch. This is Profound Professionals. So if you are an author, coach, speaker, a subject matter expert, industry expert, business owner, entrepreneur, and you have something brilliant and wonderful to share with the world, we would love to lift you up and edify you. Reach out to us and we'll get you on the show. If you know someone, be a hero and introduce them to us, because we would love to get their message and their knowledge out to the world. Everybody wins this way, and bring your causes so that we can spread some awareness and some love. So I'm Jessica Koch. This has been Profound Professionals. We are industry leaders making a very profound impact on the world. And I'm going to say to you, be kind to yourself and be kind to each other. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye until next time. I'm Jessica Koch.